Patricia Ballone with a CTV News update. Well, he pleaded guilty to accepting bribes and kickbacks for official favors and was sent to prison for his crimes. Now, former state delegate Will Campos is on early release as part of the federal prison system's efforts to curb the spread of COVID-19. I spoke with Campos earlier today, his first in-person interview since being released. We talked about his past, his future, and he answered some tough questions about his life choices.
In my opinion, I think I should have been judged independently of whatever was happening in the D.C. metro region, not just with Jack Johnson. There's other people that had gotten in trouble in the area, including Governor McDonald from Virginia.
I think the issue was more that seeing the penalties that they ended up getting wasn't enough to stop you.
And when you do something like this, just so everybody knows, you don't think about that. There's what the mental state is called super optimism. The justification that you give to yourself is like, this is no big deal. I'm not gonna call it this. Whatever. That's the stupidity behind it. So no, you're not thinking about that because you think you're completely independent from everything else, and it was independent. It had nothing to do with them. And in retrospect, I should have been thinking about that, but I didn't, and that was foolish of me. There's a lot of maturing that I've done in the last couple of years that I wish I would have been at that point prior to that. But maybe, who knows? Maybe I need to go through that for whatever reason or another, and I have become a better person because of it.
And I will have much more on my exclusive interview with Campos starting next week. Be sure to tune in. Well, Maryland's COVID numbers continue to look bleak as the state records more than 2,300 new cases. State health officials report an additional 25 new deaths from the virus. This brings the state's death toll to 4,245. Here in Prince George's, more than 38,000 residents have tested positive. Meantime, the county executive announces a health order for the National Harbor community. The order imposes a curfew for unaccompanied minors under the age of 17 beginning tonight.
Too many issues lately with young folks gathering down at the National Harbor for long periods of time and not following the health and safety guidance. And this is causing a spread to their families and to other families. And we're seeing this uptick in our hospitalizations. So it was critical that right at this time, we do this.
The curfew runs Friday through Sunday from 5 p.m. until 6 in the morning. Anyone caught violating the order could be fined up to $1,000 or charged with a misdemeanor. Members of the transit union Local 689 fear possible service cuts and layoffs could severely impact its members. Local 689 represents metro bus and train operators, mechanics, custodians, plumbers, and clerks. Union representatives fear 1,000 of its members may get pink slips. Local 689 says its members are essential workers who have not only put themselves at risk, but who carry other essential workers to work.
During this pandemic, paramedics, fire department, police department, we all have a dangerous job, but we are the only ones who on any given day will carry more than 100 people, let's say, on a bus. And out of that 100 people, you have to expect that someone on that bus has this virus. And we are, for 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours a day, operating these buses and these trains with these people who, we've been exposing ourselves to this virus from day one, just like all the rest of the essential workers in this country. And not just transit workers, but any essential worker at this time is where this country needs to step up and take care of its workforce.
And Jackson says 400 of his members have tested positive for COVID-19 and 2 of them have died. Prince George's police have arrested a Fort Washington man in connection with the fatal shooting of his brother. The suspect has been identified as 37-year-old Malcolm Sofadia. Officers were called to the 200 block of Taurus Drive early Wednesday morning. They found the victim, 39-year-old Michael Sofadia, in a car suffering from gunshot wounds. He died later at a hospital. The suspect has been charged with first and second-degree murder and weapons-related charges in the death of his brother. Police identified the victim in Wednesday's fatal shooting in Greenbelt. He is 30-year-old Jordano Vargas of Greenbelt. Officers say they responded to a report of gunfire at 5821 Cherrywood Lane around 6 p.m. That's where they found Vargas suffering from gunshot wounds. He died later at a local hospital. Police are still searching for a suspect. Anyone with information on the incident is asked to contact authorities. The state's attorney's office receives a $470,000 grant to help solve cold cases. The grant comes from the U.S. Justice Department. It will give authorities more capability to have DNA evidence analyzed by companies that use forensic genetic technology.
The cost of doing these tests are pretty expensive. It's about $2,000 per sample. And so this money will help us to get all of those samples tested and hopefully matched. In some cases, we have more than one sample that needs to be tested. So as you can imagine, that cost can, be pretty expensive even for one case. And so having this amount of money, we think can aid us with at least maybe 60 cases. Currently, we have about 600 cold cases. 120 of those are homicides, and 360 of those are sex offense cases. And those are the eligible categories for this grant.
And Brave Voice says her office expects to receive the funding in the next couple of months. Mount Rainier is giving away more than 600 Thanksgiving baskets to needy families. Each basket will contain enough food to last a week and all the fixings to make a Thanksgiving meal. The event is only for City of Mount Rainier families, and you have to register. Baskets will be given away on November 23rd at the City Police Department and at Thomas Stone and Mount Rainier Elementary Schools.
If they have been unemployed, if the rent has already built up, the utilities are behind, I know I wouldn't be out buying a turkey for Thanksgiving. I'd be trying to pay the rent or the heat to keep my heat on. And so if we can make a difference in some small way to that family during this holiday season, then I think that's what we should be doing.
Registration to receive baskets ends today at 5 p.m. As coronavirus cases surge across the Washington region, several museums in the district will close their doors again. The Smithsonian announces that all of its museums, including the National Zoo, will temporarily close to the public beginning on Monday, November 23rd. The closures will impact 8 facilities, including the National Museum of the African American History and Culture, the National Portrait Gallery, and the Smithsonian American Art Museum. New Indigenous films and old classics are available for streaming online. It's all part of the National Museum of the American Indians Native Cinema Showcase. For this year's 20th anniversary, the museum is presenting the movies online. The program provides a forum to engage with Native filmmakers and hear stories from Indigenous communities throughout the Western Hemisphere and the Arctic.
I love all the films, of course, and of course I can't say them all, but what really stands out is there's a film called Trudell, which is about John Trudell, a very well-known poet and Native American activist.
We have watched this American lie called American freedom and American democracy feed upon our people and attack the earth upon which we live.
And it's he's so relevant. He passed away, unfortunately, years ago, but his film and his voice is very, very powerful and still stands today. And fortunately, we were able to speak to the director and his daughter for a post-screening conversation. So that is something I would suggest people check out. And I would also suggest our closing night, which is called Sisters Rising.
Tribal sovereignty is integral to ending rape, and at the same time, ending rape is integral to tribal sovereignty.
It's a documentary about missing and murdered Indigenous women in the US and Canada. Not a lot of people know about that this is such a horrific plague that's been happening here in the United States. But this film is done so elegantly by Native women and supported so wholly that I think that people will really appreciate it when they watch it and kind of want to stand up and help.
The program runs through Sunday, November 22nd. For more information, you can log on to americanindian.si.edu. The first African-American mayor of Bowie receives a special accolade. As we reported yesterday, Mayor Tim Adams has been honored by the University of New Orleans with a 2020 Homer L. Hitt Distinguished Alumni Award. It recognizes former students who have contributed significantly to their communities and the university.
It's acknowledgement of not only my success, i.e. based upon my education from there, but also I think it recognizes in giving back to the students at the university and trying to support some of their programs like the Momentum program, which I'm really proud of.
Mayor Adams is also the CEO of SATEC. Local churches are stepping up to help those in need. Ebenezer AME Church in Fort Washington hosted a holiday food giveaway today, and they're planning a food gift card giveaway on Sunday at 9:30. Another giveaway is set for Tuesday, November 24th at 12:30 in the afternoon. Ebenezer AME is located at 7707 Allentown Road in Fort Washington.
And just to see the need of the people, and they're so appreciative. Matter of fact, one person actually made a contribution to the outreach program while she was getting help herself. And this community, so many people have been impacted, but some persons have not been as impacted as others. And so it's been a phenomenal blessing to see how the community, persons who are able to make it, have responded to their fellow citizens who are going through life's greatest challenges.
I think it's because we always have been a giving church that everyone just fell in line and organized, and it just moves very quickly and swiftly. And we're just grateful to be able to do that.
For more information, call 240-435-0317. Sunday's game between the Washington football team and the Cincinnati Bengals will feature a rare matchup between a rookie quarterback selected first in the NFL draft and a rookie defense lineman selected second. Washington's defensive end, Chase Young, the number 2 draft pick, will take on his former Ohio State teammate, Bengals QB Joe Burrow. Burrow is the number 1 pick who was transferred in 2018 from Ohio State to LSU. He won this year's college football championship and the 2019 Heisman Trophy. Washington receiver Terry McLaurin, another Ohio State teammate, could see then that Burrow would have success in the NFL.
Joe's a competitor, man. Me and Joe have been cool since our days at Ohio State, even when he went on to LSU. He's a competitor. It's easy to rally around him. It just seems like he's able to galvanize a team no matter what team he's on. Guys want to play hard for him. Guys want to compete with him. It's just the edge that he plays with at a quarterback. He's really tough, and he's not afraid to take hits and compete his butt off to try to help his team win.
He's just confident in his ability. He knows their offense, knows their system, knows his reads and things like that. He's getting the ball out pretty quick.
I like their offensive line. Those guys work hard to protect their quarterback. They work hard to open up running lanes. I like their skill personnel. I think they've got good tight ends that are troublesome. I like the receiving core led by AJ. I think that most certainly is one of the strengths of their offense. I like the running game that they do have.
I've been going against Tyler since the Army All-American Bowl in high school. He's a guy that can make tough catches. Definitely playmakers on the outside and things like that. So it's definitely going to be fun to go against those guys.
Defensively, they're very aggressive. They can blitz at any time, and they will zero blitz you from anywhere.
And for your community calendar, calling all District 5 parents and staff members, join Prince George's County Public School Board member Rahila Ahmed and guests for an evening of relaxation. The virtual sessions will focus on strategic healing from the pandemic, racial and economic issues, and much more. Parents can participate on Monday, November 23rd from 5 until 7 p.m. Staff members can join on Monday, November 30th from 5 until 7. And registration is available on a first-come, first-served basis. For more information, email charlotte.underwood@pgcps.org. And that wraps up our newscast for this evening. Join us again on Monday for more local news and updates. Have a safe weekend.